There's a lot about birth that medical professionals, even the most well-trained obstetricians, don't understand. You're listening to the VBAC With Confidence podcast. I'm Jaimie Zaki, your host. I am a nurse, doula, international board-certified lactation consultant, mom of 4 and 3-time VBAC mama. If you are ready to overcome fear and take back control as you plan your VBAC, you're in the right place. Join me as we share inspiring VBAC stories, learn how to overcome fear, and deep dive on common questions about VBAC. This is a disclaimer that any of the information, experiences, opinions, and stories told on this podcast are with the intention of inspiring, educating, and informing parents. This information is not intended to treat or diagnose any medical conditions. If you have questions, you must consult your provider. Jaimie Zaki does not accept liability for any decisions that you make after listening to this podcast. Today's episode is brought to you by the VBAC With Confidence Complete Birth Preparation Program, an on-demand course that helps you connect with your inner womanly intuition, strengthen your ability to advocate for yourself, and learn the power and surrender. Use code MAMABEAR2022 to save on enrollment. I am so excited to be here with you guys today. On today's episode of the VBAC Podcast, I'm going to go ahead and just introduce myself so you can get to know me a little better. We're going to talk about why the VBAC conversation is so important and why I am so passionate about this topic. And at the end, I'm going to leave you with my wishes for you. So, my name is Jaimie, and I am a mama of 4. My firstborn was a C-section due to breech presentation, and I thought I knew a lot about birth because I was a nurse. So to me, it was like I've learned all the medical things I need to learn about birth. Of course, I know what's going to happen. I understand how this industry works, so I'm going to get my way and everything's going to be just fine. And it did not happen that way at all. I was in for a very rude awakening. And I found out that there's a lot about birth that I didn't know. There's a lot about birth that medical professionals, even the most well-trained obstetricians, don't understand. And that is nothing against them. It's just to say that birth is such an amazing experience and process and is designed so miraculously that there is nothing that we as humans can do to fully understand and control birth. It's just something that is completely outside of our control. So my first birth ended in a very traumatic C-section. And the frustrating thing for me is it didn't have to be that way, right? Like I could have, first of all, I didn't have to have a C-section. Realistically speaking, I didn't know my options. I wasn't given many options. I'll share my birth story with you guys another day. But I didn't have to have a C-section. And then, okay, we had a C-section. It didn't have to be traumatic, but it was. It was because I didn't know how to advocate for myself. I had a team that did not respect my wishes, a team that was focused on policy versus just using a little bit of critical thinking and compassion. I had a team that lacked compassion. So I was left vulnerable with no support, and it really put me into this really negative spiral, this fear cycle that just spiraled and things happened and I shut down more and it became a very traumatizing experience unnecessarily. And the sad thing is, I know my story is all too common. So I went on to have 3 VBACs after that. One was in the hospital. My son was 9 pounds, 4 ounces. He was born after 36 hours of labor and a compound hand. I had an amazing birth team and I really had a great experience. But there were still a lot of things about that experience that I was not okay with. So fast forward to my 3rd pregnancy, my daughter, I was in a new state, had different options available to me, and I decided I wanted to have a home birth. And unfortunately, the state I was in did not support home birth for VBAC moms, even though I had already had a successful VBAC. So I found a hospital-based midwifery practice that I really liked and decided to go with them. But as the pregnancy drew to an end, I really felt called to this home birth. So we took some chances and made it happen. And during her pregnancy, something that really stuck with me was I was kind of forced to meet with an MFM doctor. And this doctor told me that I could only have a VBAC if it was not at home, if it was in a hospital, and if this baby was in the perfect position, and if this baby wasn't any bigger than my last baby being a 9-pound, 4-ounce baby. And I thought to myself, I VBAC'd him with no problem. Why should I not be able to do it again? And he made this really big deal about her size, and he really pushed me to get a growth scan done to see if she'd be the right size for VBAC. And I was like, no, I'm good, thanks. I'm good. And so then her size kind of stuck with me. It was a concern for a long time because my firstborn was 8 pounds, 4 ounces. That was my C-section baby. Then my VBAC baby was 9 pounds, 4 ounces. And we were joking that she would be 10 pounds, 4 ounces. And then he planted this little seed of if this baby's bigger. But everybody was like, there's no way this baby's bigger. Midwives would palpate and everything. I didn't show for a while. Everyone's like, there's no way. When she was born, she was 10 pounds, 4 ounces. And so I kind of showed everybody, you know what? You can VBAC a big baby at home with no medicine. And I am certain that if I had her in the hospital, she would have been another C-section. Again, I'll share that story some other time. And then I had my 4th baby, my 3rd VBAC, another 10-pound, 4-ounce baby in my bedroom. So I am so passionate about this topic because I personally have experienced that feeling of helplessness that comes with planning a VBAC, the fears that come with planning a VBAC. And every single time, even though I had done it before, there were so many voices telling me how reckless it was to have a VBAC, how dangerous it was to have a home birth, and how impossible it would be for me to birth a large baby vaginally. Now, you guys can't see me, but I'm all of 5 foot 3 inches tall, 130 pounds before my pregnancies. I'm not a big person. My husband is 5'6", not a big person. We are not big people. I did not have gestational diabetes, and I have these huge babies. So for me to be able to birth these large babies with all the odds stacked against me really taught me something about myself, something about the birth industry, and something about how God created us. And now, of course, my experience is just that, my experience. But I learned that there's a lot that we can do that people are going to tell us we can't do. But we can. So I'm here to inspire you and encourage you to make your decisions from a place of information and intuition, not from a place of fear, whether that's your fears or somebody else's fears. I'm here to help you make confident decisions that you can stand firm in. This has nothing to do with being stubborn, although that's a part of it, I guess. It takes a certain kind of personality to have that resolve to push back against the voices, but it is about making the best decisions for you and your family based off the information you have and your intuition. It's about not being bullied. And that's why I wanted to start this podcast, because I want to share with you guys common questions, common fears, let you know you're not alone, but give you a different perspective of how to look at it. I've supported moms as a doula as they plan their VBACs and go through this cycle of fear and having to advocate for themselves and kind of panic at the last minute when everything seems to be going against them, and then they pull it off. They do it because they get focused on their goal and they remind themselves of the truth of what they are capable of, the truth that fear does not control us, and the truth that they are well informed enough to make the best decision for them. So that's what this podcast is about. That's what we are going to celebrate. We're going to celebrate our intuition. I'm going to teach you guys about my 3 pillars of confidence: the womanly intuition, womanly wisdom, self-advocacy skills, and the beauty and power that comes with surrendering. We're going to learn all of that over the next few episodes, and my wishes for you are to find peace and confidence in your pregnancy, with your previous birth, with your C-section. Come to peace with your C-section and have a peaceful, positive birth experience after C-section. If you are planning a VBAC, I am here to champion you and support you. And I am not going to blow smoke up your butt. I am going to clap my hands. I'm going to cheer you on. But I'm going to let you know that there will be times that things go wrong, that things don't go the way you hoped or planned, and we can still find peace in that. That is part of taking control, is that we know we have controlled everything that we can. We don't have to worry about our decisions anymore. We just have to accept that some things are outside of our control. And when we can accept that and surrender to that, we can have a better birth experience. I'm so excited to be here with you. I hope that you guys join me to learn more. Thank you so much for joining me on this week's episode of the VBAC Podcast. If you liked what you heard, please go ahead and leave a review to let other mamas know it's worth a listen. If you have any questions you'd like me to feature in my upcoming Q&A episode, click the show notes to submit your questions. And if you haven't checked it out yet, grab instant access to my free Combating Fear During VBAC class, available now. Hope to see you next week when we will be talking about whether or not VBAC is the right option for you.